If you still trust John Mueller after the Google leaks, I don't want to speak to you. The helpful content update was a load of BS by Google. It had nothing to do with content optimization. Again, they lied to us. You can't be a lazy affiliate. It's very easy to explain that, very hard to set that up. Can be done, don't get me wrong, especially if you know the right guys, the right black hat strategies. The best user signals right now, Virality is working way better than any form of link building that you can possibly do. I don't care what any link builder says, virality is the #1 ranking factor right now. Like, a lot of people think when they're getting into like iGaming, it's going to be like an overnight success, and it's just never not. So I know a lot of people that own toxic PBNs and they sell negative SEO as a service. So you could give like ChatGPT, for example, a list of URLs, and you could give it like the source context of your domain, and you could say like, which pages am I missing? So I'm using it for like server log analysis in some cases.
Hello, welcome back to Audits podcast. My name is Aneta, and I'm very excited to host today Kasra. We are at SEO Mastery Summit in Saigon, and Kasra, you just finished your talk, right?
Yes, so I done a live website audit, or some people called it a live website roast, where a load of the attendees basically submitted their website and I just tore the websites apart. Like, this is why this website's not ranking, you need more links here, technical's not right. So yeah, website audit.
Awesome. So how did it go?
So it went really well. People basically submitted their websites and I got to pick apart from a content strategy what was missing, from a technical SEO what was missing, link building what was missing, and also image ranking tricks as well, which we'll definitely dive into in this podcast.
That's really cool because you worked on actual examples submitted
Yes.
by the people. Yes, also. So actually we will be focusing today on only tech SEO, specifically for iGaming. So I hope you can also share some examples that you just dealt with.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's talk tech SEO for iGaming now. So how does actually page load time affect user engagement and conversion rates in iGaming sites? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so page load time, this is not even just when it comes to iGaming, it's for every single type of website.
Okay.
If you've got a slow loading website, it's not going to be great. So I think the rule of thumb is like less than a second. So the quicker the better. We have done a lot of tests in the past where, like, if you've got, like, for example, videos, or if you've got images and stuff like that, it can slow down the page. So there's certain strategies like lazy loading your images and stuff that you can actually do to improve the actual page load time.
And what are some common performance bottlenecks for iGaming sites that you see?
So a common one, I'll start off with a basic tip and I'll go into a little bit more of an advanced strategy. So a common one that I've seen is website owners don't care about ranking images. Like, I actually spoke on stage earlier and I said, like, how many of you guys care about ranking your images? And bear in mind, there's like 400 people, only 5 people who had their hands up. So when it comes to like images, try to rank your images when it comes to iGaming, especially if you're doing something like slots, something visual, right? Like, all the slot games, very visual. It's all got like characters and stuff like that. Try to rank those. The next tip, which is a little bit more advanced, or very advanced, is looking at where Googlebot is actually crawling your website. So there's certain pages that get crawled on websites more than other pages. So it might be because that certain page has a lot more traffic, or that certain page has a lot more links going through to it. So Google comes into that page a lot more often. I see a lot of websites that don't actually know where Googlebot's actually crawling from, and they don't know like the pages that are like more popular by Googlebot than actually visitors. So what you would want to do with those really favorable pages is first of all figure out which pages they are. Like, there's tools out there like Jet Octopus that does a really good job of finding out crawl entry paths and stuff, and making certain that you're actually internal linking from those pages to other money pages on your website.
So going back to the first tip that you shared, how do you actually rank images without losing quality?
So if you weren't in the talk, there was a few subheadings that I gave away. So like having your images 1920 by 1080p, I don't know why. it ranks a lot better. It gets in the AI overview as well, if there's like a Google AI overview. So 1920 by 1080p, making certain that your text is at least 50% of the actual image. There's a lot of people that don't even put any text on the image at all. The next thing that I would recommend is having a good enough contrast. So if it's like a white background and your text is slightly gray, it can be very hard to see that text. So make certain that it's like really well contrast. The next step is making certain, like, this is a little bit more basic, but having your alt text and naming your actual files or naming your actual images. Nobody or Google can't understand 556.png or 556.jpg. If you're trying to rank for, let's say, Megaways bingo slots, right? Have that as the actual name of the image file. Again, very, very basic. Alt text as well. The other two things that I had on the actual presentation was the text around the image is very important, and also the subheading above the image as well. So again, if you're able to optimize all of those things, you will be able to rank your images. If all else fails, there is a Fiverr gig that you can get, which is like $5 or $6, I believe. And then that can actually, it builds links basically and shares your actual image. That will end up ranking your images.
And so how important is mobile SEO in iGaming? Where do you see players come from? Like, do they come from mobile? Do they come from desktop? What's the divide right now?
It entirely depends. Every SEO says that. It depends, right?
Yes.
It entirely depends on the industry. So, for example, bingo, right? Bingo is a little bit of an older audience. So it might be like 50-year-old plus players playing that. And you will typically find that a lot of those people, they'll actually come more so from Bing as opposed to Google, but they will also be using desktop a lot more often because old people, they don't know how to change their default browser. They're like, I'll just use Bing. I will play bingo on the weekend, stuff like that. But then you, on the other side of the spectrum, you do have, like, for example, if somebody's placing a bet on Manchester United, or if somebody's at the horse racing, which is happening right now, it's Cheltenham week, there's going to be a lot more visitors from mobile because people want to know, they're actually at the races, or they're at the actual event, or it might be boxing, for example. They're placing a bet right there and then because maybe they saw their friend place the bet. So it entirely depends. You just need to figure out your actual audience.
So how do you optimize for mobile?
So how would I optimize? So a lot of people, when they build out their website, they only look at it on desktop. They never look at it on mobile. And then you look at it on mobile, the table's like going across the phone. It just looks terrible. Do mobile, if you've got developers, for example, mobile first development and design, and then scale out to desktop. Because even though I've just given the bingo example, it's probably like 60 or 70% of mobile visitors. Like right now, like I've been in and around the event and stuff, and people are telling me about different tools, different SEO strategies and stuff. I'm searching on my mobile. I don't have my laptop with me. So try to make certain that if you're doing a new web design, for example, focus on mobile first, then scale it out to iPad and stuff like that, and then scale it out to desktop.
And what about the URL structure? How does that play in a gaming site?
So I have always been a fan of, I believe it's relative URLs, where it's just like / da 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 da. And now, the more testing I have done, I am more a fan of actual physical silos. So, for example, if we've got like an iGaming website together, right? And if we're talking about sports betting, and if we're talking about, let's say, golf betting, and also, let's say, casino and slots, right? We would have, let's say, odys.com /slots, and then it would be / how to win on slots. Previously, it would be like odys.com / how to win on slots. But if you're looking to scale out a bigger website, Google does get confused, and it just doesn't know like what your website's fully about. Is it about slots? Is it about boxing? Is it about golf betting, right? Not only that as well, is obviously we saw a lot of affiliates get hit over the past 2 years, since 2023 September helpful content update until now. it's a lot easier to pinpoint which silos Google doesn't like when you have a physical URL structure, right? So is it my golf content structure or content hub that Google doesn't like? Is it my boxing content hub that Google doesn't like? It's very easy to figure out, like, okay, Google has hit me 60% on my slots silo and also my betting silo, but it actually likes my, let's say, casino silo and my horse racing silo, right? So then you know where to focus your time and effort on and trying to recover that traffic. So now physical silo, if you had asked me that question 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been just flat structure.
Okay, interesting how it changed then.
Yeah.
And what about internal linking? Any good strategies, any changes?
Yeah, so a lot of people mess up internal links and I don't know why. Yeah, this should actually have been one of my answers when you asked me about common SEO technical issues. But the biggest thing that I always see is they don't build enough internal links to money pages. So if we're trying to rank for like slots betting website in the UK, right? Massive search term. A lot of people search it every single weekend. What you want to be doing, this is the ideal scenario. Go into that page on Google Search Console, look at all of the secondary keywords that it's ranking for. So for example, you might be showing up for secondary keywords in LSIs talking about best slots, best online slots, slots UK, UK slots sites, right? All of those are different variations. Have those as internal links from other pages on your website going to that one page. Because then when Google's crawling your website, a certain section of your website, you're helping theming that one page up. So you're not just doing all your internal links as being best slot sites, for example.
Yeah.
So you're theming the page up a lot more. The other thing that I would also say that's pretty important, which I'm pretty certain we're probably going to talk a little bit more on, is like the hierarchy of your website. So again, if a page only has 4 or 5 links or internal links, Google probably doesn't see that as being a very important page. If it's got 300 internal links, or if it's got, let's say, 70 internal links, Google deems that as being a lot more important.
Okay. Yeah. So what are the common indexing issues?
So common indexing issues. This is a really good question because I actually covered this in my presentation earlier. And sometimes it's not even issues on your own website, but it could be like links that you've acquired over the years, right? So I was doing a consultation maybe about 2 years ago now for a website that done football betting. And they had a really good link from, I think it might have been from CNN or Fox News, like really big publication. It was a do follow link as well, which is quite a hard link to acquire. And it was talking about Kante, the footballer, moving to Chelsea, which I think would have happened like around 2016, right? So really super relevant link going to a football betting website. It's talking about a football transfer, going to a football betting website. And I started doing like site colon and I checked a load of his links because it was like a website that has been very established over 6 or 7 years, and links that this person had acquired 4 or 5 years ago weren't even indexed. So even just like auditing your own backlinks, running them through an indexing tool and making certain that, okay, they might not re-index, but Google's at least re-crawled them, right? So just trying to get more crawlers to look at your backlink profile and just kind of remember that you have been mentioned on Fox. Remember that you have been mentioned on CNN or some of these big websites. Again, it's really important when you're doing like digital PR and stuff, because a lot of the guys, they're getting like all of these big digital PR campaigns, spend 6, 7, 8K, 10K in some cases, getting 60 links, and it's like from Forbes, right? It's an inner page on Forbes. It's not even indexed for like 12 weeks. Run that link for an indexing tool. I recommend Indexceptional. Tested a lot of indexing tools. That's probably like the best one for indexing right now. But yeah, a lot of people think that crawling issues only happen on their website. Look at your backlinks as well.
Wow. And any tips for internal website problems?
Yeah, so when it comes to internal, like if you've got a website and let's say it's 100 pages and only 80 pages are indexed, it might not necessarily be a backlink issue, or it might not necessarily be a technical issue. It might be more of a crawl budget issue.
Okay.
So in that case, you might need more backlinks. You might need better user signals. You might need more traffic or virality going through to your website. Because if you're a brand new website and you're trying to spam Google with 60,000 pages, it's going to be really hard to get those 60,000 pages to be indexed. It can be done, don't get me wrong, especially if you know the right guys, the right black hat strategies. It can definitely be done, but you just need to give Google the correct user signals. So the best user signals right now, and I'm sure we'll probably go into a little bit more detail, virality is working way better than any form of link building that you can possibly do. It's literally just instant. As soon as you get viral traffic, I don't care what any link builder says, virality is the #1 ranking factor right now. So as soon as you get like 60,000 hits to your website, it will index and it will rank very, very high. As soon as you get links being built to your website, Google will crawl that website. As soon as you start getting brand mentions. So don't just do only virality. That's a bad strategy, but try to do a mixture of everything, and that will naturally improve your crawl budget and get your pages indexed.
Okay. But with the virality, especially if it's not happening in a natural way, would you not encounter issues with like the link velocity, for example?
So with virality, if you want it to work, you need a holistic approach. There's a lot of people that are just black hat. They just do the virality because they're in some black market or gray area iGaming scenes. So like, for example, Turkey, stuff like that. So I get it. In some cases, just do the virality, you'll rank, and they only want to rank for like 2-3 weeks, and then they'll do another website. If you want a holistic approach, you need to be doing link building. You need to be getting brand mentions. You need to be trying to rank your images. And also the virality is kind of like the cherry on top. So like if you're in position like 5 or 6 and you can't get past into like position 1, virality, you'll rank there within like 24, 40 hours.
Okay. Are there any sneaky ways to increase the crawl budget?
Sneaky ways. So,
or maybe, surprising, ingenious, I should say.
There is what's called a link rotator. So basically a link rotator is like an age domain, and you power up with like tiered links, and you basically like, if you've got like 40 pages that aren't indexed, or if you've got 1,000 pages that aren't indexed, you rotate that 301 to like multiple different pages, and it will start to index those pages. So it's kind of like the link echo effect, right? So if I give you a link, right, you might jump up to position 1, right? If I remove the link, you'll still stay position 1 for like maybe 4 or 5 months. Google doesn't know that link has been removed. So there's that you can do, a little bit of a black hat strategy, but it definitely works.
Oh, very cool. Thanks for sharing. And what about structured data? How can you use it effectively, especially for iGaming?
So structured data, I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, Matthew Woodward done an interesting blog on like FAQ schema, and you could get like, at the time there wasn't a limit, so you could get like 10 FAQ answers in Google. So like position 1 would be here, you'd have all of your questions, and then position 2 would be here. Like you were literally bullying your competitors down. So you could, like FAQ schema, you could do that on like certain blog articles. You've got how-to schema as well, that again, you get like a nice carousel and stuff. But away from that, you've got like organization schema. And one thing that you can do with your organization schema, again, a little bit of a gray hat, black hat strategy, is any citations or any backlinks that you've got, you can include as seen on in your actual structured data, and you could have like 100, 200 of these, and that'll also help index your guest posts, your citations, any links that you've got. It also kind of ties the knots together for Google, and it also helps with like your brand as well. As soon as you start doing the as seen on, and you list like 100, 200 guest posts and stuff like that.
Are there any other ways that you can optimize schema beyond Google's guidelines, and it's actually worth doing it, because sometimes it might bite you back, right?
Yeah, so the thing is with schema, it seems like it's very, very forgiving. Like
Okay.
if you do something wrong, in some cases you might drop a couple positions, but it's not going to completely tank your website.
Okay.
Like I remember a few years ago with like the stars schema, I implemented that on a website and it jumped like from position 5 to position 2 to position 1, a lot, like for like hundreds of keywords. So you can definitely do that. But as soon as like Google doesn't like the star schema or like the review schema, I believe they call it, you're only just going to go back to where you were, right? You're not going to get completely demolished. So that's one thing. Another thing that you could also do as well for like further schema optimizations is if any of you guys are like affiliates and you're doing like slot review brands, so like Megaway Slots Review or whatever else there is, you can actually have the stars and you can slightly improve your click-through rate by having the stars as opposed to not having the stars as well. So it's another little bit of a trick that you can do. Some would probably call that black hat, but I think people are the more advanced guys have known about that for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, there are worse things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of iGaming sites are international. And since iGaming it is such an international industry, you also have different regulations in different markets. Like, how do you handle multiple languages on the websites?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit of a story actually. About 5 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago now, we tried to rank in Brazil and a load of different countries, and we thought, okay, we'll just use Google Translate to get the content, translate it to Portuguese, and we'll upload it. That didn't work because there's certain words, there's certain grammar, and there's certain like vocabulary that people would use. Like for example, if I was to translate like a paragraph of text to like Polish, for example, and if you were to look at it, you'd be like, no, that's completely incorrect. Like it's translated, but it's just completely incorrect.
Yeah, it can be word by word, right? It has to be the meaning.
Exactly that. So we tried that and it just failed massively. But what we understood from that learning curve is that you actually do need like content writers in that specific country that speak that language, that on a day-to-day basis is actually going out and interacting with people, because there's certain words that just Google Translate and just these AI tools that I've personally tested, and I might be wrong, correct me if I am wrong, they just don't get right. But as soon as we actually hired content writers in Portugal and Spain, France, stuff like that, rankings shot up very well. So it's not that's probably like the whitest hat answer that I've given, but yeah, just hiring content writers that are actually good in that region.
What about the use of Hreflang tags?
Yeah, so that again, that kind of goes hand in hand with ranking in certain geos. So Hreflang tag is, if any of you guys are ranking in a certain geo and you want to try and rank in another geo, what you would probably want to do is have a Hreflang tag plugin. There's so many. There's WPML that does it. There's a couple others. That's what we use is WPML, but it allows you to add like /EN-CA, right? So that's English Canadian, or EN-UK, and that's English UK. So again, like you might be thinking, well, English Canadian and English UK is the same thing, but it's actually not. So if you're providing offer like or tips and stuff like that, one's got like Canadian dollars, one's got British pounds. So there's all of these, and I think that there's certain spellings. So like center in the UK is different to center in US spelling. So there's all of these different things. Now, again, going back 4 or 5 years ago, when you were just using Google Translate, you're just like, oh yeah, it looks brilliant. You upload it. But if you've got an actual US content writer, or a Canadian content writer, or a Spanish content writer, they get it. So yeah, with Hreflang tag, it allows you to rank in multiple geos with the same domain name. And it also feeds that data into Google, and it says like, hey, this is the Canadian version of the website. Hey, this is the US version. This is the French. This is the German version of the site.
So with iGaming, having to deal with so many different regulations in different regions, what are your tips for actually scaling effectively?
Hire a team. Like, a lot of people think when they're getting into like iGaming, it's going to be like an overnight success, and it's just never not, because there's so many, especially if you're in affiliate space, right? There's so many affiliates managers that you need to speak to. There's so many different offers you need to get onto your website. There's so many different regulations. The terms and conditions change day by day. So if I'm an affiliate for, like, for example, Bet365, and they change like something on their terms and conditions, they will send a member of staff an email in my office, and they'll say like, hey, you need to change this, and you've got 24 hours to change this. Otherwise your affiliate account's shut. So especially in regulated markets, it's a very, very big pain. That's why I've been able to scale out like a team, and they deal with it. Like the last thing I want to be doing is replying to an affiliate manager at Saturday at 9 p.m. and stuff like that, and changing T's and C's and stuff. Luckily with Bet365 though, I don't know if all of the brands do this, they give you like a JavaScript code. So the T's and C's automatically update, and you don't need to change it. But there's like, that's one brand. There's so many brands in the UK that we're dealing with. So with one brand, that's okay. But the other, like, let's say 250 brands that we deal with, right? That can add up a lot of time. So I would say hire a team if you're not gonna, if you don't want to do that yourself. Or the other way that you can do is limit the amount of brands that you work with. We've kind of got like a scattergun approach. So we like to test out brands and send traffic to certain brands and see what type of lifetime value we get by sending traffic to Bet365 or William Hill or Skybet and stuff like that. So we're always testing different brands, because some brands, they use SMS remarketing, so they're better at working the traffic and trying to get players to sign up to different offers, to essentially gamble more. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You could limit the amount of brands that you're working with, but then ultimately you don't know which brands give you the most money as an affiliate as well.
Yes. So that's one thing, limiting the brands. What are your thoughts about locations? Does it make sense to also choose, for example, 1, 2, 3 locations to focus on?
Yeah, so I was actually speaking with a brand that only operates in like Southeast Asia, and they were telling me, like, the affiliate manager at that brand was telling me like that some of the numbers that they were doing. So like cricket betting, for example, is huge in India, and also the lifetime value of a customer that you send to that brand is like massive. Whereas in the UK, for example, they've put a lot of regulations in the past 2-3 years because they just don't want people to be gambling addicts. But India just doesn't have that. So you need to pick and choose your battles. I would, if somebody wants to get into iGaming, the best thing you could probably do is speak to like a consultant and be like, hey, which geos should I target? Because for example, Brazil's really good, India's really good, Bangladesh is really good, Australia is really good. So there's all of these like pretty decent markets. But if you just are trying to go into iGaming, you don't know anyone in this space, you could go into the wrong geo and think, this ain't for me. I'm not making as much money as I thought.
Yes, UK, I think, is one of the toughest in terms of regulations, one of the most regulated markets currently.
Yeah, so I remember when I first got into iGaming SEO in UK as well, there wasn't any limits when you were doing slot games online. So for example, if there's like 3 slots and you're doing the slots machine, right, you could do like £100 per slot, pull the thing, and you've lost £300. So you're doing 100, 100, 100, lost. 100, 100, 100, lost. So you could lose like £900 in a matter of seconds. They've limited that now. So as an affiliate, I'm getting paid a lot less, because there's I think it's like £5 or £2 per reel now, whereas it was unlimited before. There's also, you can also bet using credit cards in the UK. There's a lot more regulations now than there was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, they make slower spins.
Yes, that's another one that I completely forgot about. So previously you could do like click to spin and then skip, and it would give you the results. click to spin, skip, click to skip it. Now you actually need to see look at the animation. So yeah, it's like not many people know this, but as an affiliate, you get paid off of people's losses. So if I sent you, for example, to Bet365, I get a percentage of your losses. And if you're only losing, let's say, £10 an hour, as opposed to £900 an hour, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'm getting paid less.
So how about user-generated content? How can you take advantage of it in iGaming?
So I think this isn't a secret, but Ask Gamblers do this very well. And they have like a section on their website, or it's kind of like, I can sign up, you can sign up, anyone can sign up, and they can review their experience with certain brands. So there's brands popping up every single day. Like there's probably like been 5 slot brands generated today, right? It's not hard to generate a slot casino online. It's literally just a shell. Anyone can, or with enough capital, anyone can do it. And there's a lot of non-paying casinos. So if you go and win £5,000, or if you go and win a Fiat 500, for example, right, you might not get paid on certain brands, right? So Ask Gamblers have done a really good section on their website that basically I can sign up and I could say like, oh yeah, I had a really good experience with this website. I got paid out 24 hours or 2 hours later. I won £6,000. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then people will see that and be like, I want to bet with this brand. Yeah. They'll click Ask Gamblers affiliate link, right? So that's a really good way of doing it. On the flip side as well, they've got like a non-recommended casino section on their website. And if you're doing any funny business, you will be on that list. So if, say, for example, I went and won £6,000 on slots and somebody didn't pay me out, or they'd done some funny business, I could essentially report that to Ask Gamblers, and I could aware other gamblers to not bet with that certain brand. So it's a really good way that they've actually marketed that. I think they've done a really good job on that site.
How can you avoid issues with like duplicate content, for example? Is that something that comes up?
So duplicate content, not as often as it does. So there's certain things that you can do. So for example, I'm guessing you're asking me this for the user generated section.
Yes, exactly.
There's certain things that you can do. I believe like even Matthew Woodward has a comment section on his website, right? Where other SEOs can basically like say like, oh yeah, this was a really good post. But you can obviously have a approval process when people leave comments. So that's like a full-time job, especially if you're getting like 500,000 traffic through to your website. Like just hire someone full-time for that section, just like looking at comments, seeing if it's actually applicable to the actual blog post that you've done, and then press approve or deny that comment. There's also things that you could do. So you could do like paginated comments. So you can basically restrict maybe like the top 4 comments to get seen, and then it's like section 2, and it's like I believe it's like a JavaScript loaded section, and it basically goes to like the next 4 comments, so you're essentially restricting the comments, but you're also not. So it's capped to 4 or 5 or 10, for example, but there's more if you want to go through it. It's kind of like an e-commerce store, right? If you were to go and search like ASOS for blue dress, they limit it. So it's like maybe 50 products, but they might have 500, but you need to press page 2, page 3, page 4. Another thing as well, if you do that, more dwell time as well on your website.
True. And how about these regulatory requirements such as age verification or geo-blocking affect technical SEO?
Yeah, so I actually spoke to a brand, and they had just done a website redesign, and they were geo-blocking UK. They didn't mean to do it, and it completely tanked their traffic, or their UK traffic. So always be very like, just do a good technical SEO audit after you've done like a website redesign, or if you're launching new geos and stuff like that. One thing that you can always do when it comes to like geo-locking and stuff is you can have a pop-up that just doesn't disappear, but you can still have the text underneath it. It's almost like an overlay. I've seen that work very well, and you can kind of basically get away with that kind of.
And how about audits? How often should you do them in iGaming?
So I would again, it's completely down to the size of the website. Like some websites they do daily audits, but that's because they're getting like 4 million traffic, right? So you need to be doing that type of stuff. I, for one, do content audits, I do link audits, I do technical audits. So technical SEO audits, if you're starting to grow a website, try to do it like once a month, especially if you're like just hired some like person to do the actual uploading process of the content and stuff, because we're all human, things do go wrong. I'm sure if you've been uploading articles through to the ODYS website or any websites that you've worked with in the past, you might have missed out an image, or you might have internal linked to the wrong page. We're all human, it happens. Once a month is probably healthy for a lot of websites. When it comes to like content audits, highly recommend doing a content audit after a algorithm update, especially if you have been hit. Try to figure out like which websites have went up in rankings, which websites have went down in rankings, and find the commonality in both sections, right? So for example, if a website's randomly come out of nowhere, or if a couple websites have randomly come out of nowhere, try to figure out like, is it because they've got a listicle? Is it because they've got long form content? Is it because they've got user generated content? Try to figure out the commonality and also implement that on your website. When it comes to link audits, a lot of people leave backlink audits too late. So after they've been hit, they'll be like, oh, right, what's going on? Is it because I've got toxic links? And then they'll do a disavow. I'm always an advocate of like, it's a problem until it's an issue until it's, what's the phrase that I always use?
It isn't an issue until.
Yes, it isn't an issue until it's a problem, then it's too late, right? So it's kind of like if you were driving down the motorway and you ran out of fuel, right? That's an issue. But you should have fueled back your car 20 miles ago. So that's kind of on you. That's what a lot of people do when it comes to link building. So they'll go and build 100, 500, 1,000 links, and there might be a lot of toxic links in that. And then they'll start to tank, and they're like, oh, what's happened? You should have audited that on the high, as opposed to when you're all the way down here. Because not only that as well, it's a lot easier to mitigate the risk when you're on the high as opposed to the low, because then you're like scrambling everywhere. Is it my content? Is it my links? Is it my tech? Is it the server? You're questioning yourself. Try to always just keep a healthy website. It's like if I had a heart attack, right, and I'm in hospital, right, I'm not going to go and eat hamburgers all day, right? That's kind of what people are doing. So just keep your website healthy. Like do a disavow. I know John Mueller's came out and said disavows don't work, but think of all the things that he's came out and said that don't work, but they actually do work, right? And I don't mind saying that, because one of the reasons why he said disavows don't work is because of a case study that I done. It was literally just after a case study that I done. It was like, oh yeah, disavows don't work. We're removing the disavow tool. That was 2 years ago. It's still there. It definitely does work.
I mean, what reasons do we have to trust him?
Exactly. The Google, if you still trust John Mueller after the Google leaks, I don't want to speak to you.
That's a good point. So actually, with iGaming being such a competitive niche, sometimes you have to deal with attacks, right? Like toxic links that
negative SEO.
Yeah, exactly, negative SEO. So how important is monitoring in those cases?
Yeah, so I mean, it's super important. Like the easiest way to negative SEO attack is go and build 5 or 10 links with money-rich anchors to that page. You'll tank that page. There's a lot of toxic links. So I know a lot of people that own toxic PBNs and they sell negative SEO as a service.
Okay.
So it's really important to keep on top of the actual the disavow file. Also, in some cases as well, you might want to remove some links from the disavow file. So like links that you've disavowed 12 months ago now might be healthy links as well. So I like to call it the disavow mindfuck. Sometimes websites do become healthy over time. So it's really important, like especially if you've got a bigger website. Some of the bigger websites that I do consulting for, they have somebody full time just looking at the backlink profile, seeing what kind of links are coming in. If they spot any toxic links that are coming in, they just add that to the disavow.
Okay, yeah, so it's that important.
Yeah.
To that degree. And do you also do any log monitoring? Do you recommend?
I briefly touched on this earlier when it comes to like the entry paths and seeing where Googlebot's coming in and out from. So if you haven't, go and set up server logs and try to get like a 12-month subset of like where Googlebot's crawling your website from. Now, server logs, I don't know if you've ever looked at them. They look absolutely ugly. It's just like line after line after line. It's something like out of the Matrix, right? It's just like all cold coming.
You don't want to look at it.
Yeah. I recommend like using Jet Octopus. Screaming Frog also has like a log analyzer. I slightly lean more towards Jet Octopus for server logs because it just looks a lot more visual. It's a lot easier to understand the data. But yeah, server logs is really important, especially in the, I like to call iGaming as being like the top 1% of SEOs that are in that. It's like CBD, porn, iGaming, cannabis, any of those industries that you guys are in. You need
crypto.
to be, you need to be looking at your server log because it just highlights like certain pages that you might have potentially deleted like 6 or 7 months ago, but Google's still crawling that page. So you're wasting crawl budget on that page. Or in some cases, it might be like a blog that you uploaded 8 months ago and Google just, for whatever reason, it loves this one page and you just don't even have any internal links from that one page. So building like 1 or 2 internal links from that Google loving page to like 1 or 2 money site pages can literally jump you from position 65 to position 10 overnight.
That's crazy. So what about testing in tech SEO? How do you do that?
A lot of things go up in flames, a lot of failures, but you learn from it. So on the testing side of stuff, it's not necessarily just when it comes to like tech SEO. Like for example, the images that I was speaking about, like the bullet points and stuff like that, that's just all from just generic testing. Highly recommend like testing different stuff. So like for example, going into your Google Search Console and looking at LSIs and secondary keywords and including that or injecting that into the actual page can definitely help. That's deemed as testing. A good testing tool is SEOtesting.com, I believe it's called. And you're able to actually pinpoint like, okay, this is what I done on the 25th of June. We're going to leave this page for 2 weeks and we're going to see the results from that. So highly recommend using like a tool like SEO testing, for example. And you're able to like do very granular tests with a tool like that. And especially if you're looking at your server logs and stuff like that, you can basically say like, okay, on the 5th of March, I done this. We're going to leave this for 2 weeks. What was the outcome? Did it go down? Did it go up? That's what I would do when it comes to testing.
Yeah, because sheer number of variables is a problem, right? How do you separate the cause from the effect and what actually had the impact?
Yeah, exactly. Like I done a recent case study with Surfer SEO and it was to do with the helpful content update. And basically I said the helpful content update was a load of BS by Google. It had nothing to do with content optimization. They kind of, again, they lied to us. Helpful content update. It was more so to do with the actual links that you had going through to your website. But at the very start of the case study, I said, correlation doesn't mean causation. So even though I'm saying this, take this with a pinch of salt because the link that you acquired 6 weeks ago and your website went down, it might not be from that link. It might be from all of the other things that you've been doing poorly on your website. Don't just pinpoint that one link or don't just pinpoint that one article that you uploaded and it show up your entire rankings.
Exactly. So what about AI? This is now a big topic. How can you take advantage of it particularly in iGaming and tech SEO?
Yeah, so with AI, like there's if you speak to anyone in the conference today, some people are like against it, some people are for it. Like I spoke to someone, they're like, I only use human writers, I don't believe in AI.
Really?
And then you've got the other side of the spectrum and people are like, yeah, I love AI. I, for one, I'm using it for like, my grammar's absolutely terrible. So like I'll run any message through ChatGPT and I'm like, make this more fluent and stuff like that.
I use it for personal stuff even.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But with AI, right, so there's certain things things that you can do. So you could give like ChatGPT, for example, a list of URLs, and you could give it like the source context of your domain, and you could say like, which pages am I missing? So like, which top content gaps am I missing? It will give you like content suggestions. Might not always be like the best content suggestions, but again, it comes down to your prompts. Like I've spoke to like Corey, for example. His prompts are like 10 pages.
Wow.
So
wow.
there's that side of people, and like the outcome of that kind of prompt is like super, super, super deep.
Yes.
But then you've got like other people that are like, I don't believe in AI, but because the prompt that they've given is wrong. So it's like, write me an SEO article to do with plumbing.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
I wrote like page-long prompts.
Exactly.
Before.
So it all comes down to your prompts. I'm using AI for a lot of different things. I'm using it for like topical authority, finding different topics. I'm using it for like server log analysis in some cases.
Oh, could you give an example of that?
Yeah, so like again, like what I was saying before with all the matrix code and stuff with server logs, you can very quickly, if you don't want to use like a tool like JetOctopus and stuff like that, you can give it the actual file and say to it like, hey, which pages are being visited by Googlebot, and it will tell you like, hey, this is the page, this is what it's doing. So it'll tell you, maybe not in a very visual way, but it'll give you like a list of the top 10 pages on your website. So you could do that. You could give it like internal link opportunities. So if you can give it like a URL, or you could copy your entire content from a page, and you could say like, what secondary keywords or LSIs should I use for internal link opportunities or for backlink opportunities? When it comes to like anchor text as well, so anchor text ratio is pretty important. So again, you could give it all of your backlinks from your competitors, and you could say like, hey, give me a ratio of like which exact match anchors I should have, which generic anchors I should have, which branded anchors I should have. So it'll give you an entire list, and you're like, oh, okay, I need to do 25% this, 5% branded, 10% this. So there's a lot of AI opportunities that you could also use. Very, very nerdy strategy that I've started using lately is, I don't know if you've ever used make.com.
No,
so it's like an AI automation software, or an AI agent, some people call it. So I used to use that, but now I use N8N. And basically I've also done self-hosting with N8N, so it's like super cheap. But you could like do like a workflow. So it's like, okay, first I want you to go and do competitor research, find me 10 articles that my competitors have that I don't have. Then it goes to Claude, for example, it gives it all of the titles. Then it writes the semantic SEO content with like hierarchy of the subheadings. It also even uploads the article through to my website, and I can also get it to do like the internal links and stuff as well.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is very easy to explain that, very hard to set that up, however. But with enough time, anyone can set it up. It's very easy to do.
Yeah, or you can build your assistants in-house, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Awesome. So how, in your opinion, how did iGaming SEO change compared to the last year?
Yeah, so with iGaming SEO, there's a lot more brands, I feel like, that are ranking. So, for example, it's brilliant that ODYS are doing like the brand protection, because a lot more websites will need that in time. There's a lot more brand jacking that's happening. But from my experience, if you're an SEO in your mum's basement and you're like, okay, I'm going to throw up a website and become an affiliate marketer and stuff like that, it's just not going to work. You can't be a lazy affiliate, for example. You need to be an actual proper brand. That's where I'm seeing a lot of websites rank a lot higher. And again, it's the easy answer, right? But it's the correct answer. Like a lot of people are like, oh, why are you saying brands are ranking higher? Because it's the truth. Like if you don't want to build a brand, be gone. Don't do SEO. It's the harsh truth.
Yes, this is super important. In fact, we actually filmed 2 episodes. One just about affiliate marketing and how to succeed, and another one about brand protection, because these are such a big topic nowadays.
There's also other things as well. Like don't just look at Google. Like Google is just one search engine.
Exactly.
YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. There's
LLMs.
LLM, yes.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of keywords. Some that I am proud for, some that I'm not proud for. That my name comes up, but we do a lot of testing.
You're a brand.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So
Congratulations, succeeded.
Yeah, thank you. But don't just focus on Google. Like there's a lot of affiliate marketers that are crushing it on Pinterest or on YouTube or on Twitter, for example. So although people think AI or Google affiliate marketing's dead, deep dive into other things. There's a lot of money to be made in the market still.
Yeah, lots of opportunities in other channels.
Yes, definitely.
Also, thank you so much, Kasra. It was great to have you, and thank you so much for sharing these really detailed tips.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed it as much as I did, please follow Kasra on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn for more episodes and subscribe to Audits podcast on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.